Story 1. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's like playing chess without knowing how to play chess. The longer you do it, the more sense it makes. But you get the chance to train with a higher belt, and suddenly you find yourself playing normal chess when the other person is playing three-dimensional chess instead. It's mind-blowing. Story 2. Skateboarding. The agility and maneuverability needed for your feet is pretty crazy. Even when you do manage to figure out how to kickflip, you have to be able to do it consistently. Add in the bonus factor of failure, meaning you're going to slam onto concrete. It's a pretty brutal sport. Story 3. I went to a boxing gym with some coworkers. I didn't even get to box. We did all these warm-up exercises and rope skipping. I couldn't even stand after the brutal warm-up. I never went back. Story 4. Tennis is a sleeper, weirdly exhausting when attempted at a medium to high level. And I say weirdly because even when I was in top form, playing on a trophy-winning soccer team, I'd still get winded playing tennis. Maybe just a different muscle group with more lateral movement. Wrist and elbow would get sore as well too. It's far more athletic than I think most people assume from seeing it on TV. But the absolute hardest one I've tried is that Southeast Asian sport that's like a cross between hacky sack and volleyball. It's like one needs to have backflips in their personal arsenal just to compete. Story 5. I pitched in high school, Division I baseball, and minor league baseball. I am athletic enough to compete at a decently high level in basketball, football, and soccer. I was even offered a basketball scholarship. I couldn't make contact with a pitch past youth baseball. I cannot stress how hard batting is. Forget all that noise. Story 6. Wrestling. I have done basketball, soccer, Muay Thai for a decade, boxing, karate, and some other stuff. Wrestling is by far the hardest sport I have ever done. Story 7. You all ever done ballet? I joined an adult beginner class with my ex-wife and I thought I was in shape. I'm an active person. I work out, I do cardio, I do yoga, I've got strength and stamina. Oh, nope. Ballet kicked my ass and had me diving for my water bottle like a dying man. And ballerinas do that while balancing on their toes on 2-inch wood blocks. My respect for dancers is pretty huge. Ballet pushes the human body to the absolute limit of its physical capability. Story 8. Wrestling and water polo need a ton of conditioning and explosive power in both. Absolutely exhausting, and big props to those who can do either at a high level. Story 9. Snooker is absolutely soul-destroying. It's so difficult to do the most basic parts of the game. I have done many sports throughout my life, including mixed martial arts for a very long time. Yes, I did struggle with the jiu-jitsu at the beginning, but I felt progress as I carried on. I've been playing snooker for a while now, and it's the one I have struggled with the most. I'm terrible at golf, and I feel golf is much easier as a sport, and it's not even close. The only other sport I struggled with so much was snowboarding, but I've only ever tried it twice. I just couldn't do it despite skateboarding as a child and wakeboarding fairly often. Story 10. Cheerleading, especially as a male cheerleader. My whole job was to pick her up, put her down, pick her up again, throw her and catch her, put her down, do a flip, pick her up. Now do that within a choreographed routine alongside dancing, and don't forget your cheer face. Story 11. Professional wrestling requires significant coordination and the ability to send and receive instructions on the fly. In the middle of a run, a villain can tell you to duck or take a bump while you're heading toward them at full speed. Usually, sequences are made up on the spot, so you'll hear instructions like whip, tackle, drop down, arm drag, hip toss reverse, hit the ropes, elbow, blurted out in 1.5 seconds to perform immediately. Everything hurts. The mat hurts, the ropes hurt, everything hurts, especially after the adrenaline wears off. But it is incredibly fun. Story 12. Hockey requires immense talent and skill while also being incredibly mentally demanding. Every decision affects the game. Professional hockey mostly depends on which team makes fewer mental mistakes rather than skill issues. Team play is necessary, but because you're effectively playing offense and defense at the same time and switching players every 40 to 60 seconds, you need to be in sync with your team, the players you're on the ice with, and the coaching staff. Not to mention how physical the game is. One of very few physical sports with no out of bounds. Story 13. Skateboarding. Pretty much every time you mess up, You are either hitting the pavement or a skateboard is hitting you in the shins. It is really hard to stay on that tiny little thing, and really hard to learn to do tricks, especially since I got zero lessons and was just trying to figure it out on my own. Story 14. Bike trials on a bicycle, which involve climbing over obstacles, and stunt riding on a 600 cubic centimeter motorbike both require a lot of practice before you even get good enough to actually enjoy the sport. Story 15. As an uncoordinated person, I find tennis challenging. I can't hit the ball in the right direction to save my life. It goes flying all over. I practiced, but it didn't matter. It's just one of those things that isn't for me. Story 16. Running ultramarathons. I've been running them for about 20 years now, and they never get easier. It's a mental challenge on top of destroying your body. Good stuff. Highly recommend. Story 17. I've played many different sports at competitive levels. The hardest, in my opinion, is rowing. A 2,000-meter race is such a hard distance to train for. It's too long to sprint, but too short to be thought of as a marathon, resulting in a blend of pain and hopefully victory. Story 18. Mixed martial arts. Can't believe no one mentioned it yet. I see some boxers, wrestlers, and Brazilian jiu-jitsu people, but you have to start considering mixed martial arts a sport. While it's nice that you can use something you're pretty good at as a base, there are still a lot of threats you need to be aware of and know how to counter. I come from a boxing background, and elements like kicks and takedowns really made me think about my stance in defense. You can't dive if someone meets you with their shin. You can't stand too straight and narrow because someone will shoot for the legs. Mixed martial arts is one of the hardest sports out there on every level. Story 19. Muay Thai. Boxing was easier for me. Muay Thai, my body took a beating. The leg kicks always damaged my knees. I had knots on my forearms from blocking kicks. In boxing, I took more blows to the head, but I seemed to recover more quickly. Muay Thai always left me with a nagging injury. Story 20. Hockey. Full contact, physical, players with long sticks shooting a frozen rubber puck. Skating at 25 miles per hour. Boards to get smacked into, fighting is normal, huge hits. Oh, and you do all of this wearing boots with knives attached to the bottom of them, used to skate on ice. Mad lads. Story 21. It is a 3-day equestrian event where you ride dressage, cross-country jumping, and show jumping. People have no idea the amount of skill and athleticism required of the horses and riders. I landed in dressage, a whole different level of difficulty, but not as hard as doing all 3 in 3 days. Story 22. Running because it's unbelievably boring. I did my fair share of parkour and free running back in the day, but I just hate plain old running. I even got bored writing about it. That's how boring running is to me. Story 23. For the way it's played so far, hockey is also one of the most fun, in my opinion. Most disciplined and hardest for the most perfect moment. Taekwondo. Story 24. Boxing. I'm nearsighted, and I hate contact lenses. Typically, I wear glasses to train, but when I went to spar for the first time, I had to go in blurry. Taking a punch is not that big of a deal, but aim and coordination are nearly impossible against someone with good vision. Story 25. Muay Thai. Day 1 of training, we ran outside in the Thai heat for a while. Then a group of guys punched you in the stomach while doing crunches. Also, dribbling a basketball just isn't for me. Haha. Story 26. I've sustained the most injuries playing American football, but I've definitely been closer to death more consistently while climbing mountains. I guess it depends on how you define hard. Story 27. Lacrosse, that ball hurts like a motherfucker. And I played running back in high school. No tackle ever felt like taking one of those things in the belly or legs, or really anywhere. It hurts even if it hits your shoulder pads and chest pad. Story 28. Underwater hockey. It's worth it though. The whole underwater nature of it that makes it hard also makes teamwork a necessity, and I've always loved that part. Story 29. Tennis. Oh my, that court is huge. I was a child too. Skating. I am very glad I had a helmet. I smacked my head backward into the tarmac so hard that I would have passed out for sure. Hard is subjective, of course. Did you see Uli Steck and Danny Arnold's speed climbing the Alps' north walls as if they are running upstairs? These are walls that took hundreds of experienced climbers' lives and were once considered extremely hard. bordering on impossible. Story 30. I have played football at a good level. I played basketball and cricket at school. I was, at one point in my life, playing pool against semi-professionals, but the hardest sport I have ever tried to learn is golf by far. The amount of precision it takes, the different shots and situations you can find yourself in, nothing compares for me. Story 31. Skateboarding. But that was back in the late 1980s, and trying to figure everything out yourself just from watching The Search for Animal Chin, while living in a rural area outside of a small town wasn't the best. Story 32. Curling. Every other sport I have played or trained, I could see or feel I was making progress in it with something. Curling, on the other hand, I could not even come close to getting a grasp on the basics. Story 33. For me, skydiving is challenging. Not only is body flight difficult, but you also have to understand clouds, wind speed and movement, Federal Aviation Administration regulations, and be able to make life-saving decisions in a matter of seconds if something does go wrong. On top of that, you have about 60 seconds to complete the dive flow and move away from other jumpers in your group to deploy your parachute. Once you're under canopy, you must ensure you can make it back to the landing zone while not getting in the way of other jumpers and other planes. The only real way to learn this is to actually do it. A wind tunnel helps with learning body flight, but as far as flying your parachute safely, it can only be done by jumping out of a plane with one and doing it. Once your parachute opens, there's nobody there to help you. Students get a radio, but that's about it. Story 34. Baseball. I've played many different sports over my life. All of them vary in difficulty. Hockey is hard because of the skating and the physicality of it, but if you're not playing contact hockey, it's not that hard on your body. Baseball, however, is incredibly demanding. A lot of people don't realize the toll that it takes on your body. To go from standing to a full sprint is wild, and your body is there like, what the heck, dude? Hitting a baseball is also the hardest and most frustrating thing to do, especially if you are seeing fastballs over 80 miles per hour with some movement. The mental side of baseball is draining as well. When you don't understand the details of the sport, you don't see it, but when you do, it blows your mind. Story 35. Rugby league. Think National Football League, but without the breaks after every play, being required to play in both attack and defense, taking 10-meter sprint run-ups only for 3 players to clatter you, and then defending a few seconds later and having to stop another big player as he's sprinting directly at you. Rugby league is like doing constant shuttle runs for an hour and a half, with just a 10-minute break at halftime. You're required to run, pass, kick, and tackle, and you're constantly on the move while effectively being in 10 or 20 collisions per game, most of which contain the effective G-force levels of a serious car crash. Story 36. Surfing takes years to even get comfortable. Years to learn the intricacies of forecasting, where to go, and when to call off work. Even more years after that to even get proficient, and many more years to ever feel like you're good. The randomness of swells, wind, and timing can make you jaded, disheartened, and over it at any moment. People compare it to snowboarding, but the mountain is always there, and the lift brings you to the top 7 days a week. You might surf once or twice a month, or once or twice a year in excellent conditions. Thousands of reasons to quit. Thousands of reasons to second-guess everything. A lifetime of learning, knowing you will never be as good as you want to be. The only people who are really good either grew up in a place with exceptional surf, gave up their lives to be where there is exceptional surf, usually season by season, or have financial support. And financial support always wins. Been surfing almost 20 years and still not where I want to be. Way past my time, but happy to hopefully surf at a mediocre level for the rest of my life. Story 37. Baseball is the hardest sport, but I would say personally golf is challenging as well. Imagine hitting over 90 miles per hour fastballs, but now I cannot even hit the little ball straight that is stationary on a tee. Story 38. Traditional climbing involves placing the gear in the cracks of the rock as you climb. Other sports seem like a lot of work, but you can't die doing them. In traditional climbing, you can be in a situation completely at your limit and have to succeed, or there are huge consequences. Story 39. I've always thought football, not American football, real football, is so hard, and I'm always very impressed with the people who have such incredible control over a round, bouncy ball with their feet. Story 40. My landlords hated me for having a dartboard and all the holes that surrounded it. I did get really good. This was after many afternoons and evenings of my friends and me getting as far away from the dartboard as possible and seeing who could hit every slice of the dartboard clockwise, and then the bullseye while drinking. Do that for a few months, then go to the bar and hustle some games for beer money. Story 41. Rugby is exhausting, and you get the beat kicked out of you. Judo for the same reasons. Cross country is exhausting, but you eventually become addicted to the pain, and then it isn't so bad. Tennis is exhausting when you are not good and lose all the time. Story 42. I played rugby for 8 years and ended up going to nationals. I played at a really high level for a club sport. That said, you're running on adrenaline for almost the whole match. Once you know how to pace yourself in that sort of situation, it's no harder than any other sport. I ended up quitting when my best friend tore his anterior cruciate ligament and medial collateral ligament in one of the last games of the season. I decided it would be my last season as I didn't want to hurt my knees. So on to the hardest sport. The last 6 miles of a marathon are the hardest thing I've ever done. I can run for what feels like forever, but after I hit the 20-mile mark, every step is difficult. Everything hurts.